Hello, folks. You're listening to the Wrecking Crew podcast or the Wrecking Crew comedy podcast, right?
Right.
So, and I'm Vito D'Amico,
I'm Mark Arts.
and we're brought to you by Majestic Garages. What about your socks? What you got to see Mark's socks?
Okay. Here's the theory, right? I've learned from younger people that you're not supposed to wear long socks with shorts,
Right.
right? So I figure if I'm wearing long pants and really, really short socks, I'm taking coolness to another level.
Yeah, but that looks normal to me. What's wrong? Like, you thought that looked stupid?
Well, it's socks that you would wear with sandals or
Yeah, but
whatever.
you know, when you're a dad, you don't give a shit.
No, well, I'm just doing what people say.
Christ, you're wearing what is it? A Stars shirt,
I made it myself.
jeans, and half socks with slippers, and I'm wearing a fucking 1982 shirt that Catherine can't wait to throw out.
I just can't let go. I can't let go.
Pants that look like, I'm kind of in the army, but not.
You got the zip off bottom
Yeah,
half
yeah,
leg
like
pants.
yeah. Like if I wanted to, I could hunt water buffalo.
If one day your legs are cold from the knees down, you can, or hot, I should say, you can just take that off
with black socks and shoes that
All right,
no one would mug me.
You know what? I'm just went up further on the level
Yeah,
of
so,
super coolness.
You know what it's like. Like, you remember when you were a kid and your dad goes, "Let's go to the mall," and you're sitting in the car and you're dreading it. You're going, "Wait a minute, what the fuck am I doing? Go to the mall with my dad?"
Right?
Because he's sitting there with the sandals and he's wearing like a shirt that with the holes in it. And,
I didn't care.
Oh, I cared. He's like, come here. Like, I do that to Sterling now. I'm like, come here, hold my hand.
My dad
didn't until I was about 21. It was embarrassing.
Well, my dad, I didn't mind going with him because he was a pushover when it came to chocolate bars and stuff like that.
Oh yeah,
I go with my mom to the store, and once in a while you get like candy, whatever.
right.
But with dad, sky's the limit. And he didn't know how to buy stuff in singles. He give me a couple of those, couple of those, couple of those.
Oh, your dad was awesome.
He was awesome.
That
He
is
was the best.
fantastic. Because like my dad would be like, "Dad, could I?" Ow.
Yeah.
He'd be like in front of everybody.
Yeah.
Like, I knew not to, because he'd embarrass the shit out of me. I would just go, "Dad, could I have this?" He goes, "Do you really need that?"
Yeah.
I mean, do you really need that? And it's like in front of the cashier. Like, I'll try and put shit in there.
Really need much.
No, and it's just like if I wanted like just say a chocolate bar or something, or he'd go, do you need it? Do you really need the?
Do you think that's
and it'd be a good-looking cashier, and I'm all pimply faced, and
Do you think that's why you're a freak for candy now?
no, I've always been addicted to candy. I can't help it. I can't help it. Like, a buddy of mine, he's like, "Hey, I lost 20 pounds," and I'm like, "Fuck, who cares?"
Did you
Like,
eat any candy during
yeah,
that
I'm like,
time?
how do you not have a the other day we were making, what was the last show, we were making fun of fat people, but there's a difference between fat and like fat. Okay, what I was making fun of was fucking blimps, people that could barely get out of bed, that cry and go.
They're victims.
Yeah, they're victims of the person that takes care of them, brings them, like, shovels fucking food in their mouth and stuff.
Yeah.
I like that. To me, like, I love a chunky woman.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, chunky woman.
Yep.
I don't like the skinny ones because they're too braille. I mean, I weigh quite a bit now, and
They're sharp and pointy.
yeah. Well, do you ever like their asses are very like, they're nice, but I like a bit of, like, when, you know what I mean? Like, I like the heart shape ass,
Right.
where there's kind of a little bit of fat,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not talking like fat like
No, you don't want to feel like you're with a little boy. That's
the
for
fuck you talking
priests
about,
and
little
stuff.
boy? I'm talking about a chick's ass.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. You don't want a skinny, like a little boy ass on a girl.
Jesus Christ, that totally. I was starting to get a little hard on, and then you threw that in.
Well, that's sorry. I read an article about a
God damn
priest
it!
who.
But a little boy's ass. You don't want it to feel like a little boy's ass. That's
Right.
what I'm going to say to them.
I'm not-
I'm going to go to the mall and go, "You,
Is there
sweetie,
any way we could back right out
you've
of
got
this?
a little boy's ass."
You got no.
Oh,
That's not an
God.
appealing
Go
thing. is what
steal
I'm
money
getting at.
from the church.
Done it already.
Hey, folks, today we've got a professional boxer, Steve Rainford, today. Golden Glove champion. Poor guy busted his hand. He was getting ready for a big fight, and he busted his hand. We'll talk to him a little bit about what he needs to do, but he'll join us. I don't know.
Check him out on the Facebook, the Wrecking Crew podcast Facebook page. There's a picture of him on there.
Yeah,
and he's pretty scary looking.
Yeah, he looks like the last guy you'd want to see in a fucking alley.
Yeah,
I mean, he's I remember years ago, before he started boxing, he used to be the bouncer at Yucks, at a comedy club. And it was great because I would belittle somebody, and then they would try and kill me, and then Steve would walk up to them, and Steve always had that look about him. Some guys just look tough.
Yep.
And you wouldn't fuck with them.
Yep.
Yeah, that was Steve. He just looked like he knew how to wreck you.
Yeah, well, yeah. Look at the picture, and it's pretty obvious.
Like with me, people just go, "Well, he's just gonna be a dirty fighter." You know what I mean? Like he's gonna be.
Well, then they're calling it right.
Right, and they are right. They'll go. This guy will poke me in the eye. He'll pretend. Like what I like to do is go, "Oh my God, please stop, please stop." Like I pretend that I can't move.
Right.
And then I stab him in the neck.
In the neck.
Whatever.
With whatever you got.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
And then I laugh. I'm like, "You fell for the stupidest bit. Are you really that thick?" So, but Steve always had that look about him, and he's a professional. And we'll talk to him about how his training, what's he eat, how do you prepare for a fight? Like, could you imagine doing that for a living?
Like, yeah, normal people don't look like that.
Yeah, most people go to work and don't hit people for a living.
Well, that's the other thing.
And I always think, hey, this is a dream job. I want that.
You do it for fun and sometimes out of necessity.
Right. Well, yeah, but. The problem is they hit you back. That's the only thing that would piss me off about going to a job interview. I get to hit whoever I want, whenever I want. Yeah, well, only in the ring you get hit them. And I go, all right, cool. But they get to hit you back. That's where I'd have a problem.
That's the flying.
I go, well, what if they hit me hard?
That seems unfair.
Yeah, like what if they don't go down after I hit them a couple times and they get angrier?
Hey. Was your dad a big undershirt guy? My dad was a big undershirt guy.
Yeah, my dad was the undershirt. He looks like he's wrecked. He looked awful. Now he's my son, my brother, my brother who won't let me touch his fucking car. Did I tell you about that?
Mm-hmm.
You got a fucking BMW. The fucking guy won't let me even. He got a brand new BMW. I told him about the BMW. I told you the whole story.
Yeah, you would drive angry though.
No, I wouldn't. I would totally respect his vehicle. Okay, but. Fucking guy, okay, will not let me touch the car. So I don't even look at it. And when he's not looking, I literally spit on the car.
Does he show it to you and want you to be all proud?
No, he puts his keys down, like he puts it beside my fucking Kia keys,
jingle them around a little bit.
And it's just like it's totally leather. I mean, Catherine gets in it. Like we had to go to the mall. I sat in the back like a fucking stooge, and
you should have rubbed
like,
one out in the back.
Oh, this is really nice. I could see why these are so expensive because she doesn't really give a shit about cars. But once she got in this thing, she's like, wow, this is a car.
That's fantastic.
And I'm like, yeah, well, I'm gonna fart in a minute. We're gonna see how much you like the smell of this fucking car.
Leather seats.
Oh yeah, it's all. I looked at it. He blew like $71,000 on this thing, and
which great if you can.
I don't, but if I had a car like that, I'd let you take it.
Sure you would.
I wouldn't let you take it by yourself for a cruise.
I would tow my boat around with it.
No, but I would totally go, hey, Mark, you want to take it for a cruise? Yeah, sure. Like you're a car guy, you like cars, you appreciate it.
Yeah.
See,
around
what
the
pissed
block,
me
whatever.
off, this is what pissed me off. I told him, I told him, I was like, he had an Audi before that, so he's looking for a new car, and he's trying to figure out the car he wants, and he's like, I don't know, I like the the new Volvo or whatever, and I'm like, Volvo? What kind of fucking what are you talking about?
He doesn't have kids.
No, he doesn't get it, right? So he's like, I'm gonna get the new Volvo, and I go, dude, get the new BMW. the you get the
Yeah,
3
yeah,
Series,
yeah.
whatever. Just get the new Bimmer. Those are beautiful.
And he's like, no, I don't like BMW.
No, he goes, no, I don't. They're so everyone has a BMW. My brother's gay, which is nothing wrong with that. But he's like, I don't, I don't know. They're just so everybody's got a BMW, and I'm like, who gives a fuck? They're beautiful cars. They're. So he goes, no, I like to be different.
You have to spend $1 million to get a car that nobody's got.
Yeah, but
Wouldn't you?
Yeah, but I want like that Bimmer's nice, right? He got a brown though, so I don't know.
Wow.
So, and I told him that too. I was like, "Ooh, nice color," like so.
There's a gay joke there somewhere.
Oh yeah. So he goes, I could be a lot worse than this. I'm trying not to because I don't want him to listen and just call my mom and go, he's making fun of me on the radio again.
I'm
See
admiring.
what I can't. See, I'm starting already.
I'm admiring your restraint to this point.
Oh, buddy, you have no idea.
I know.
So okay, so I told him about the BMW, and he goes, "No, I don't think so. I don't like them." Fucking 2 weeks later, right?
Mm-hmm.
Shows up with this brand new BMW.
Yeah, I did the research, and I just found the BMW to be so fantastic.
Yeah. So I go, hey, can I take it? And he goes, no.
No, screw you.
And I go, are you being serious? He goes, no, don't touch it.
You got no chance now.
And I'm like, my buddy Serge used to high school when he had to go work because he was making really good money, but he had a brand new Mustang, brand new, Mark, brand new.
Yep.
Okay. We put in a nitrous setting. I mean, this fucking, he gets slicks on it. Beautiful vehicle.
Sweet ride. Nobody in high school has a car like that.
Nobody had that. Everybody thought it was my car because
he let you drive it all the time.
He was like, oh shit. All right, hold on.
It's our guest.
Maybe it's Steve. Hold on here. Let's see if it's Steve. Hey, Steve.
How you doing?
Hey, it's Steve Rainford. Hold on. Let me just put him up. Oh god damn it.
Oh. Good.
See if he comes through it.
Say something, Steve.
Say something, Steve.
Hey.
Yep,
Yeah,
we're good.
he's coming through. Hey, get up for Steve Rainford, everybody. Hey,
Steve.
Should I use a squeaky thing? Where's that squeaky
I don't know. I don't know. Yeah.
Does this sound stupid?
Yeah, no, he laughed.
I don't give a
so
fuck.
we're-
I think this is boxers. Instead of ringing the bell, this is what they need.
It's-
And the round's up.
Yeah. Don't take yourself so seriously. Just squeak a squeaky giraffe once in a
I
while.
see. I got this from Rocky after the fight. You see it, and it was every swear word. He was like, "Apollo Creed, when I get you, I'm gonna." All right, so
don't think
we're
that's
on
how
the
it
air, the Wrecking Crew with Steve Rainford, professional boxer, Golden Gloves champion. I gave him a little rundown, Steve. Of I remember you years ago. You used to be the bouncer at the comedy club. And you used to take care of business back then.
I was actually the bartender.
Oh, that's right. But sometimes,
Yeah.
it was, if it was slow, if there was a problem, I remember you used to take
they
care
always came to me if there was a problem.
Yeah,
There was,
that's
there was
right.
a security guard, but they came to the bartender if anything went down.
That's right, because the other bouncer was a eunuch and couldn't handle it. So
Just for show at the door.
Who was the other? Remember it was hilarious. Steve was the bartender who could kill you. But he used to make great drinks. The guy used to make a crazy mojito.
Okay.
And fucking who was the guy that was remember he was a little fat guy?
I do, but his name's.
I can't remember his name, but he was like he was scared of his own shadow.
And this was a bouncer?
Yeah, he would have to. Poor guy had to work the door because I would cause shit, and then he used to. Oh God, I can't believe I forgot his name because I used to drive him nuts. He used.
You drove everybody nuts.
He used to walk
so we're gonna
up.
get to some truth here, Steve. We're gonna hear about Vito. I hope.
Right in the middle of the
good stuff.
Right in the middle of the. Oh God, please! I'm gonna remember his name later. And then he used to walk up and go, "Excuse me, sir.
Droopy.
You need to leave." And the guy would just go, "Fuck off." I guess. And then he goes, "No, sir. You really need to leave."
You know what?
And the guy would go, "Fuck off." And then 2 seconds later, he'd come back with Steve. And then the guy would just get up and leave. Right? He would look and just go, "Yeah, I don't think so."
So, okay, Steve. I'm Mark, and nice to meet you over the phone.
You as well.
What's the deal with Vito? Is he as big a pain in the ass as everybody thinks he is? Like, did he?
He gets himself out of a lot of situations with his mouth, right?
Out
I
of
don't
and
really
into?
know. I have not really. He doesn't run away, but he yeah, I wouldn't be able to know exactly in that.
That's sweet. He's trying to be
He's
as
being-
nice as possible.
He's a boxer diplomat.
He's actually a very civilized.
Yeah.
So what I love, Steve, is that what you do for a living, you get to hit people for a living.
Exactly.
Now,
I do. It's
is it
great? Like I get to punch people in the face with absolutely zero repercussions, and they give me a paycheck for it. So
now, if you got into a fight, this is what I've heard. If you get into a fight with somebody, and they find out that you're a professional boxer, you could go to jail, right?
yes, yeah, I don't exactly know the law, but I've heard through the grapevine that I actually get charged with aggravated assault if I don't inform them.
Yes, that's right.
So if I were to beat the piss out of somebody that would come, running their mouth, and I didn't inform them I was a professional boxer,
Right.
then I could be charged with aggravated assault. But
See,
That seems ridiculous to me.
I use that all the time before I get into a fight. I say to the guy, I go, listen, I just want you to know I'm a professional boxer, and if they don't back up, then I just run.
Right.
You know,
Right. That's a
Like,
good.
I
that's-
wish.
so you do run then.
Yeah,
I've just
no,
never
I
witnessed
pull
running
out a
away
card, but see, I pull out the card. I have a little card that goes comedian. So when they go, "Are you a fucking comedian?" I literally pull it out and
Yeah.
go right there.
You think
I
you're
guess
funny?
They love it at the border. They're like, "Oh, that's so
Yeah,
funny."
right.
Hey, let's see what's up your ass. So, so Steve, growing up, were you how did you get into it? Were you a fan of boxing?
I was. My dad and grandpa used to watch boxing every Friday night, and I would just
Right.
be glued to the TV with them. Neither one of them were, competed themselves. I grew up watching it, loved the sport, and one day I was reffing a soccer game down the street, and I saw a bunch of people going for a run, and I asked the guy standing beside me. He said it was all the boxers. I had no idea there was a boxing club at the very end of my street growing up.
Huh.
So I didn't actually get into the sport till I was about 15-ish. But if I had known there was a boxing club up the road, I probably would have started when I was able to, understand what people were telling me.
That's awesome.
Right. That is so cool. Now, I used to watch box. How I got into it, my uncle, who passed away a couple of years ago, but he was a sweet guy. He used to get me to box people in the back of the bakery.
Okay.
So he was a psychopath. He was one of the uncles that. He was one of those uncles. He was never, people thought he was the mafia, and he wasn't the uncle that was in the mafia. My uncle Sal was, but he would get he'd get me and another kid in the back of the bakery, or his son, which was my cousin, and used to practice us. He used to go, okay, this is how you box, and he would, and I used to get a fucking bleeding nose. I get wrecked, but. And I never thought it was mean or any, people think, well, that's vicious, that's mean. But I'll tell you, when he passed away, I never cried so much. There was a sweetness to him, because I remember watching, he'd sit me down on his lap, and he would say stuff like, we'd watch a fight, and if Muhammad Ali was fighting, or Duran, or, back then, the fights, he'd explain to me what the guy's doing. It was a science. It wasn't just two guys. People think it's barbaric, where they go, oh, they just go in there and they just beat the shit out of each other. And it's like, no. If you realize, if a brawler were to ever go up against a boxer, the boxer, a true boxer, will beat a brawler. Okay?
Right.
So that's, he's explaining that to me, saying, now watch what he's doing. Watch how he throws a left. Watch how he's timing his punches. The whole point of boxing is to render your opponent helpless. Okay? So it's done. They're the guy where it's just no mas, where the guy just says, that's it, or knock him out. Beat him. So he was he used to explain that, and that's how I loved how I grew up watching it, was just from my uncle explaining to me these wonderful fights and teaching me, saying, this is how you throw a punch.
Was there a particular guy that was influential on your boxing career, Steve? Like
I was kind of self-taught. I'd go to gyms, but my trainers in the day weren't really great trainers. So it was later in the day that I ran into a real coach. But growing up watching boxing, just I'd say Roy Jones Jr.
Right.
But as a personal person, my current coach, Lawrence Boone, just basically took me as a self-taught boxer and kind of toned and showed me the skills that I did have.
So you feel like it really turned a page when you met a guy like that.
Right. Yeah.
That's
exactly.
what he does.
And again, many years down the road.
Well, that's the thing, Steve, is like, I see a lot of guys that, it depends on the stable they go to and who teaches them.
Exactly.
If you go to the right guy who teaches you how to, remember when Tyson ruled, and he had, I think some of the best trainers. Remember the old guy, Costamato. He had guys that really taught him how to fight properly. And if you have those guys in your corner, it's like going to school and being a doctor. If you go to Coconut College, you're only gonna go. You're only gonna go so far. But if you go to a professional that teaches you how to do this for a living, you're in a league of your own.
Right.
Anybody could throw a punch. It's they watch for how do you throw, and is there a bad intention to it? That's what they want. You throw it bad intentions, and I love that. You can't have a sweetness to you if you want to be a champion. No,
not in the ring.
No, it's a sweetness after. I mean, I used to love when Tyson used to knock a guy out, and then before the guy would hit the ground, Tyson would try and hug him.
Exactly.
He was just like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Why did I do that? Oh, I remember. And then he'd fuck about 14 Chinese chicks afterwards. Remember?
Is that
Exactly.
God, that was the way to live. Have fuck Orientals and beat up people. That's the best. Poor Mark cringes, but that's the truth. You remember remember when he fought? One of my favorite fights was him going against Buster Douglas. And people don't know that night. Do you know he screwed like 4 Chinese women all night until like 6 a.m. And I'm thinking, and then he went 10 then he went 10 rounds. Dude, I would just show up and go, my dick is killing me. I can't fight today. I'm so sorry. I screwed half the people in China.
That's conditioning.
That's conditioning.
Right there.
That's a strong man. If you could screw 4 women and still get in the ring and go 10 rounds, dude, I don't want to fuck with you.
How do you know these stories? I don't understand.
Well, I follow a lot of See, I follow a lot. Like, Steve, do you like UFC fighting?
I'll watch it if there's no boxing on.
Yeah,
Friday, Saturday night, I'm on the internet streaming all kinds of boxing, whatever's on. But if there's a big UFC fight, I'll throw it on. But I'm a boxing fan through and through.
Right. And the thing is with me, when UFC came out, I still am not a huge fan. I just, to me, it's boxing. So I try and watch the UFC because a buddy of mine, he's a big UFC, and he tries to explain to me, this is what they're doing, this is what, and I think, see, to me, first of all, if I'm fighting you, I want you to wear some socks, okay? Like, like how many times you get into a fight in a bar and you say to the guy, okay, I'm going to kick your fucking ass. All right, let's go outside. All right, everybody, take off your shoes.
You're weird.
Here, hold on to my shoes. Who's holding on to the socks? Bernie, hold on to the socks. I'm going to kick this guy's ass.
See, Steve, we talked about this last week. Vito's more afraid of getting a toe in the mouth than a punch in the face.
I just, Steve.
I wouldn't want a toe in the mouth either.
Yeah, and you know how guys take care of their feet. The guy takes off his shoes. He's got a fucking corn on it, and the whole time you're fighting him, you're looking at his, it's like, do you clip those, man? I mean,
the
it's
toenail alone's going to give you 3 or 4 stitches.
Yeah, so that to me, that bugs me. Like my dad walks around with sandals, and he's got the one toe that it's like, Dad, cut that fucking thing. It's killing me.
Yeah.
Like
It looks like a Frito.
yeah, I just cannot. It's just weird for me. If I would like UFC if the guys don't go on the ground, and I understand it's a fight, but I don't like.
I think there's. I think what's his name? The leader guy of the UFC.
The white guy.
Yeah, Dana White. I think he'd like that too if they weren't on the ground all the time, because the fans sure don't seem to love it as much as when they stand up and kick and punch.
But you know what kills me about that Dana White guy? Like, to me, it just seems greasy. Because, like, in boxing, if you fight a guy, if Steve were to fight a guy, and if he was like fighting for the title, okay, he would get millions of dollars for that, okay,
Right.
He would. But in what Dana White's doing is he'll go, okay, hey Steve, you won fight of the night. There's $5,000.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get that. That's what I don't like. I don't see how you're talking about guys like the Pacquiaos and guys. I know those guys are the top of the class and they're gonna make the 20 million, the big purses. But to not make good money, I just don't see how in UFC. To me, it just seems like he gets a bunch of guys. A few of them are going to be champions, like really good, but most of the guys are just tough guys that know how to fight a little bit. They get in the ring, and you're making another guy like Dana White a shitload of money to kill yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
And that's where I find it greasy.
They were going on about how safe MMA was in comparison to boxing. Now, boxing may have some problems down the road from getting punched in the head umpteen thousand million times.
Right.
But it's like acute injuries with the UFC. All the top guys are constantly hurt. Like
Right.
every big fight nowadays is canceled because of all the injuries that are happening.
That's true.
Yeah, but you know what's going to happen now? Boxing's been around forever, and they go, these guys are going to pay for it later on in life. Okay, all right, they're going to pay for
Some
it.
do.
Yeah, some do, some don't. But UFC, I just don't think it's been.
The data's not in
The
yet.
data's not in yet, because if you choke a guy, you choke a guy out years later, I'm sure that there's damage there. That look at football. I have a hard time watching football. I just stopped watching football because it bugs me. Because I remember the Chicago Bears, which is 1986 champions. They show the guys back then. They're huge, strong, good-looking dudes. Fucking 30 years later, these guys, half of them are dead. The other guys are in wheelchairs. They're
Or in jail.
Yeah, in jail, or
Yeah,
So,
right.
To me, I don't think the data has not come in on how brutal beating the shit out of somebody in the UFC can be.
Do you?
Well, that's the reason why GSP, George St. Pierre, retired. His head's already all fucky.
Yeah, he got a little weird,
He
didn't he?
walked away. That was the main reason with his personal issues was he doesn't remember a lot of shit now.
Is that true? I didn't know that.
That's what I've heard from
Yeah.
a ton of people, even sources that train at the 5-star gym, right? So
He doesn't.
I guess he's just, his mind's all over the place now too.
Yeah, I remember.
Kicked and punched and elbowed repeatedly in that short amount of time. Like, how long was he? 8 years maybe?
Yeah, but that's a
He
long
was
time to be
a
champion.
star.
Yeah.
I think boxing careers last a lot longer than 8 years.
Didn't he say something about being abducted by aliens or something at one point?
No, you know what it is?
Yeah,
You know what it
maybe.
is? I know for a fact what GSP's doing.
What?
He knocked up some chick, and
I heard that too.
and she's not that good looking, so he can't remember shit. and I'm
I've
serious.
used that
I
excuse
do
before,
that all
too.
the time. Catherine's like, "Did you put your dick in this woman?" And I go, "I can't remember.
Oh,
I don't know where my penis has been. Give me a break."
I got a story about that for later.
Do you like Steve? Do you like? I've never liked. See, for some reason, guys, they try and stop boxing. They try and stop all these sports that are vicious. But there's something about fighting that guys just love.
It's just intriguing. Like, what do the majority of hockey fans go to a hockey fight for? What are they hoping to see at a hockey game?
Well,
Right, yeah.
It's a fight. Everybody wants a fight to break out of a hockey game.
Hey, it's weird because I tell my son, And my daughter, fighting's not the way to go. Fighting's not that. And then when my wife leaves the room, I go, you never, ever back down. You fucking belt him in the face when. But if we're watching a game and a fight breaks out, I get totally excited. I stand up, and my kids see that. And I remember my uncles and everybody used to stand up during a big fight. Everybody would just stand up in the house because it was just enjoyable. And for me, hey, that was just, it was fun. It was like, hey, if you didn't like fighting, if this guy did not like fighting, then go do something else. Like you hear these stories where the guys go, I had to fight the guy. No, you didn't. But you didn't have to fight him. You fought him for a paycheck, But some of the greatest fights out there, if you ever watch, one of my favorites was McSorley, which I fucking never, he pissed me off in '93 when he took a number at Doug Gilmore, but he took on Probert, and it was one of the best fights I've ever seen. At the end of the fight, those two guys, they kind of gave each other a hug and said, "Hey, that's our gig. That's what we do."
They're basically paid fighters too. So, did you ever play hockey, Steve?
I did. I played many years. I actually, when it came time, it was either do I continue with hockey or do I pursue boxing?
Really?
And I chose the boxing way.
And so, were you a fighter on the ice too?
No, not really. I enforced it. Like I played up until it was about fighting would have started when I stopped. Stopped around 17, 18.
Right.
So, there's still no really dropping of the gloves yet at that age.
Yeah, no, because you get kicked out.
Unless you're playing for, I wasn't playing junior A hockey for,
right.
The OHL or anything like that, right? So, but no, I made my presence felt on the ice.
Oh, yeah.
Good, but there was never any dropping of the gloves. There was punching in the face mask with gloves on.
Yeah.
Never any.
You didn't take your skates off and take your socks and just let's go, let's fight, let's do this.
You're getting a toe in the mouth.
You're
right
gonna
now.
get it, pal. Could you imagine the announcer just going, and a fight breaks out. Rainford starts taking off his skate in the corner there. What the fuck? Oh my God, he's got his socks off and he's literally fighting it. His feet are frozen, folks. His feet are frozen. Oh, that would be awesome. Steve? What do you think of? I love it when guys fight, but I don't like when girls fight. I don't like when the UFC has girl fighters, and I remember at a show once that had these two. They're kind of like when I was growing up, girl fighters would look like fucking dykes with sideburns. They were not
a lot different now.
now these girls look like models, and I think what Dana White's doing is kind of going, let's get good looking chicks to fight each other.
Sex sells, right?
Yeah, sex sells, but when the two girls face, when you're facing off with another guy and they want to take pictures of you fighting the other guy and they tell you to look at Buddy. Well, every time I see the girls do that, I want them to make out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I sat there and I just go, just touch her. You know what I mean? Like just like do something. Like because I'm not watching you for a fight.
Well, then it would be something that you'd be used to seeing.
Yeah, I do have a collection of a lot of videos.
Right.
So which are obsolete now. I mean, that's another thing, Steve. Is it true for a boxer not to have sex before a fight?
I do.
Oh, thank God.
There's not the day of a fight or the night before a fight, but leading up to it, they say, sex is okay. They just don't rub one out.
But why? Like, are they worried you're gonna have a cigarette after? Like,
I
what?
have no idea. I really have no idea. It doesn't. I don't notice a difference.
Yeah, because like
having or not having.
I'm exhausted. Like I go like a jackhammer, right? So
not really.
I go like
really
a jackhammer. Then I just give me 5 more minutes and I'm back in there. Like that's all I need. Give me 5 minutes and I'll talk to I call him Killer. And I say, Killer, we got to get back to work. And he just says, all right, let's get back to work. A job's a job, sir.
Wow.
Folks, you're listening to the Wrecking Crew. We've got Steve Rainford in here, professional boxer. Me and Mark Arts are doing an interview with Steve here. Steve, you broke your hand. How did that happen?
I did.
Did you break it off somebody's face or?
I broke it off of someone's head.
Oh,
Punched him in the hardest part of the head.
oh,
Just training for my upcoming fight. A teammate of mine, and I don't know, caught wrong part of my hand, caught the wrong part of his head, and I was out.
That was it.
Now, does it bug you? I always see, like, we're going to put, and I wanted to ask you something real weird. Like, we're going to put Steve's, if you do, go on the Facebook page, and we've got Steve Rainford, or go and check him out on his Facebook page, too. But I put a pic of Steve Rainford, and he's got, I don't know, he doesn't look good because he's got, like, 6 bumps on his stomach.
I'm not sure what that is.
I don't know. Like, I've got one huge one, and he's got these 6 bumps on his stomach, and I'm like, what the fuck is this all about?
That's weird.
But how do you train? I mean, you must do about 1,000 sit-ups a day, man, to get that. Like, what do you do?
I do about 300. It's really about 600. 300 in the morning and 300 at night.
Holy
but,
fuck.
a lot of that is
I haven't done 300 my whole life.
A lot of that is running to lose weight, and I bang a lot too, Vito. So they say banging helps your abs out.
That's wicked.
Really?
That's what I tell Catherine all the time. I go, do you want me to lose this or not?
That's right. You hold up.
Do you want me? And she's like, I don't care. And I'm like, well, I have to.
Just hold up an Abercrombie and Finch ad in front of her and say, you want me to look like this?
But see, women want to bang you when you look like that, Steve. When you look like me, I look like an uprooted fucking rubber plant with my physique. You know? I mean, I used to enjoy fucking in front of a mirror. You ever do that? Look at yourself and go,
no, that's no good. That's
now
no
I
good.
look at it and I think of somebody else. Like I just go
when you're looking at yourself.
at myself. Yeah, I think I'm like some, like some, like with the abs or something. But if I look up, because what happens is I look at my butt and it'll be like 5 zits, and
Okay.
and I'm sitting there and I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, if you put them together, like if you put a line through them,
Connect the dots?
yeah, if you connect the dots, I literally got like a little. It's like it turns out it's the Big Dipper, and I show Catherine, and she's like, "No, that's a Little Dipper."
Oh.
It pisses me right off.
Little Dipper's in the front.
Pisses me right off. Now, Steve, so 300. What do you eat, man?
600.
600. Jesus.
Yeah, 300 in a sitting. What do I eat? Food.
Like, yeah, but you can't. You can't have chocolate and shit, right?
Oh no. Like in moderation. Like I can have, every once in a while throw a chocolate bar or a bag of chips into me. But when I'm training for a fight and dieting, it's I get pretty cranky because I like to eat. But it's just low fat and low calorie and low sodium, low everything really.
Just
my fight diet. But every day living, I just try to keep care of my body as best as I can.
Right. That's awesome. I mean, I'm great for about 2 days, and you got beautiful kids, Steve. I have to tell you that. I saw that picture of you with your kids, and
Thank you very much.
And they that's something where I'm sure when you're fighting, you think, hey man, I got kids. I wanna win.
What do the kids see your fights?
They do.
And what,
They came to a bunch of my amateur fights, and they were at my last fight in Detroit. So they love it. I remember Alyssa as a baby. She'd be fussy, and if fighting came on the TV, she'd kind of shut up.
Oh, that's
every once
awesome.
in a
Right.
while. So she's into it. Like she talks about it all the time.
That's
so
great.
She's right into the she comes over to Dad's place and right down to YouTube watching female fighting. So she's getting right into it.
Good.
great.
I mean, I wouldn't. I would just be too nervous if people were watching, like especially if it was parents or the kids, because I'm just worried. I don't want to fail in front of them. You know what I mean? I don't want them to think. I don't want them to think Dad's gonna get hurt. I don't want Catherine would love it. She'd cheer for the other fucking guy, but that's the only thing that would, like, I would think, shit, I got relatives watching, I got people, and for me, I used to enjoy I never, like, when the guy loses now, I don't sit there and go, yeah, and just all happy about it. I know that he's got a family, the other guy. He's trying to win too. Don't be such a dick, just enjoy, like, that's great that the guy that you wanted won, but the other guy's doing the same thing. He's trying to win too, and he's got a family too. Have you ever, like, UFC tries to do this where they'll have you fight a guy, like you went to Detroit. Was that weird being in another city? Does that ever, like, you're in another country, you're a Canadian fighter, and you're in another country. Do you ever feel weird that you were in front of another, you're someplace else, you're in another city?
I'm actually enjoy it. There's lots of politics in Ontario with the Ontario Commission in Boxing, so I'm trying to not fight in Ontario. Like, I really don't want to.
Right.
So this opportunity turning pro is basically having me go other places that I haven't. I've been to Detroit many times, but going out to the East Coast and potentially to Washington and out west, like it's taken me everywhere, and I prefer that. Just here's a plane ticket, come and punch someone in the face, and we'll give you a paycheck. And
right.
So I enjoy going out of town. So my parents don't like watching me get punched in the face.
Sure.
So fighting close to home is really just whatever.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's
I embrace it. I try to. I know going into hostile territory when it comes to it, but.
Now, when you go into hostile territory, does that help? Like, if the crowd is cheering for you, like, is it better if, like, for me, I get more out of it if they're cheering. Like, if I was fighting, which I'm not, but if I was fighting somebody else, I would want them to cheer for the other guy, because I would get off on knocking him out in front of, his fans. As bad as that sounds, but that would kind of motivate me. You understand?
Yeah, I totally understand that. For me, it doesn't matter, cheer me or boo me. As long as you're cheering the fight itself, then I'm happy.
That's cool.
As long as us two in there are giving the crowd a good show, and they're cheering that, then go ahead and boo me afterwards if I knock them out, or cheer me because we put on a good show. Either way, as long as it's either way, I'm there to entertain, not worry about if people are cheering or booing for me, right? So.
Right.
Again, if my family and friends were there booing me, it'd be a little bit different, but I'm not worrying about that.
That's like one of Vito's comedy
That's one
shows.
of my fights.
Yeah.
That's where I... have you ever had, if you ever watch, old boxing, or I see UFC trying to do this, where they try in every fight where the guys, they hate each other so much.
Yeah, press conferences and stuff like that.
Yeah, press conferences where you're standing beside the guy and you get into a fight at the press conference and you despise the other guy's family and it becomes personal. To me, is that, like, have you ever had that where, like, do you think that is part of the game, like trying to sell more tickets? Or, like, for me, I could tell when two guys really don't like each other.
Right.
When I see two guys faking it, I know that they're just totally not into it. It's just, part of the act. But when two guys do not like each other, legitimately do not like each other, that to me is enjoyable. Okay? Have you ever fought somebody where you just do not like this fucking guy at all?
No.
See, that's a pro.
No, actually no, because the organization I fought in as an amateur, it's kind of like a tight knit family. Like, we fight against each other, but all the coaches are pals, and all the fighters, we talk on Facebook and go and spar each other and work with each other. So never really fought anybody I hated, and then my pro fights, I don't even know them. I'm not at that level where we're having press conferences and there's videos of this guy, this, that, and he's seen me and we're chirping. So I've never actually fought, except for outside the bar, but that's different.
Right.
But no, I've never really hated anybody I've had to punch in the face.
Right. Because you're pretty much you're hitting them. I think people that are new to the sport or just don't get it realize that this is just a job.
Well,
like
and,
it's not.
And
it's
they
nothing.
build it up like that in that way, so that people that aren't really fans of the sport will get involved in the soap opera,
Right.
And watch a fight. Ordinarily, they wouldn't pay the $40 or $50 for it to watch.
Like
so.
for me, one of my favorite fights was watching, Thomas Hearns taking on Hagler.
Hagler, yeah, the 3-round war.
Yeah, 3-round war, and there was you could tell there was a hatred there. There was they just did not like each other. That to me is enjoying. Like, who do you think? Do you think Manny Pacquiao and Mayweather don't like each other? Or you just think it's just business now?
It's definitely always business on Mayweather's part.
Right.
Manny's just too nice of a guy, really, to hate anybody, I think. But
True.
I don't think they hate each other, no. But Mayweather and his mouth and his antics, again, it's just all business for him. That's what boxing is, really. It's a business.
Yes.
So there's nothing in it for you to hate the guy you work in the office with either. So yeah, so you make that comparison. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Exactly. Like they don't even you get those fights where they chirp and try to make it a bigger fight than what it is. This one doesn't need the drama or the soap opera attached to it.
Yeah.
So, both fight it's already a $200 million fight before pay-per-view buys and ticket sales, right? So $200 million purse without all the bullshit and the hype up and this and that. So it doesn't need it.
Do you ever watch a fight and think, I could beat the shit out of it? I do that all the time. Like, I'll watch something and go, I could beat the shit out of that guy.
I do a lot.
So, who would you like to fight? Would you ever, if they said to you, in 6 months, Steve, you could take on Mayweather or Pacquiao, would you ever, of course you would take the opportunity.
Right, in a minute.
Yeah, so who would you think that you would enjoy fighting? And how would you fight him? Like, if you were to fight a Mayweather, what do you see? I don't see any fucking. I look at the guy fight and I think, how do you get this guy, man?
I wouldn't know. I just go out there just swinging.
Just go for it.
It'd just be those guys, I wouldn't really want to fight them because they beat the piss out of me. But I'd like the opportunity to learn and get a lot of millions of dollars. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, if I was your trainer, what I would say to you, Steve, and what I've watched, I would just go, okay, if I was in your corner, I would just explain to you, going, I want you to elbow him.
Punch him right in the dink.
No, I want you to do a couple low blows, get a warning. I don't care. I want you to get him off his game. I want him to get angry. Okay? So I'll elbow him.
You'd have to think you weren't the first guy to suggest that, though.
No, I think too many guys, they go in there and they just want to box him and they get outboxed. I think, do you remember the one fight? I forgot the guy who was fighting. It wasn't Vargas, but he was fighting a guy where the guy went down. The referee stopped. I think Cortez stopped the fight. And then the guy, the rule in boxing is protect yourself at all times, right? So what happened was the guy, the referee stopped him, and then Mayweather sucker punched him. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So for me, I think Mayweather sucker punched him because he was frustrated. He was pissed off at this guy, and he thought, I should beat this guy. So. That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, piss him off. Like, try and get him off his game. Try and get him not to.
If that's your only chance, is what you're saying. If you think,
I
okay,
think
this is my one and only chance, I got to do this because you're gonna get penalized. Points, right?
I would I would have a point taken away, and then as he came forward, I would step on his foot. I would trip him up. I would do whatever I can just to get him off his game, get him angry. Get him back into the corner, and then his corner would say, he
would do it. You would do it too, because I saw him playing video games with his kid, and it's the same. They stand up to play video games. I've never seen anything like it. He was doing the exact. He was elbowing, stepping on his foot,
right,
pushing him around.
It's called if you can't beat him, don't join him. Fuck him.
Wow.
You know, so you've got to you come up with a way. One of the favorite things I enjoyed was watching the documentary on Muhammad Ali when he went up against George Foreman. And if you ever get the chance, watch that documentary, and it explains where Foreman was a stronger man, faster, maybe not faster, but just stronger, and he was a monster. You're going up against a monster, okay? And you could see in his face the first round when Muhammad Ali sat down in his corner, and he realized he's never gone up against a guy like that. And you could see the wheels turning in his head where Muhammad Ali's sitting there thinking, now how do I beat this fucking guy?
Yeah.
I gotta figure out how to beat this guy. I can't continue. Like, that round was brutal. I can't do that. I've got to figure it out. And you could see him reach down deep and figure out how I'm going to beat this guy. I got to dance. I got to move. I have to figure it out. And he did figure it out, you know.
Do you remember when they had, I think it was a Carol Burnett show, of all things, and they had Ali going a few rounds just sparring on the show.
Right.
And they put a mic on him while he was boxing, and they said, just say the kind of stuff you would say when you're in the ring.
Right.
And he was talking the whole time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So do you ever fight anybody like that, Steve, where that's yapping at you or trying to get inside your brain?
A couple in the amateurs, not so much in
but they got, what I never understood is they got the mouthpiece, so it'd be like, it's like, what the fuck did he, what'd you say? Like, I take off my mouthpiece and go, what did you say?
Maybe that's the plan.
Can somebody write this down? I don't know what the fuck this guy's talking about.
Well, I don't know if you know, but the Hamburglar was also Golden Gloves champ.
Yeah, and then the guy, he's like, the whole time he's like, or he was trying to tell you that your shoelace is untied. He was just being nice.
Huh.
That would suck, eh? If you knock him out and then afterwards you find out he was just, he just wanted to tell you that he likes you.
Awkward.
That's what I would do. I would hug a guy and kiss him out in the middle, like, when they just to hear Steve Matchett lose his fucking mind on HBO, going, my God, he just kissed him. He just kissed him right on the lips. I've never seen anything like that.
I bet that's been tried.
You've got to do stuff that is different, and that's where guys like Muhammad Ali stood out. Before, guys never talked like that. You know, Steve, if you watch the history of boxing, guys did not sit around and go, I'm going to beat your ass, I'm going to knock you out in 7 rounds, blah, 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 blah. Guys just said, yeah, I'm going to fight him, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
They never caused shit, and Muhammad Ali was one of those guys that did, hey, love him or hate him, you're going to remember him, okay?
Yeah.
So that's what sold tickets, and that's something where I think boxing is lacking these days, where there needs to be, when I was growing up, Steve, there was no white champions, okay? There wasn't, okay? Either it was a black guy or a Latino, and there's nothing racist about that, but it was like the big white hope. Well, now that's done. Like, we've had Klitschko, there's been lightweight champions, there's been middleweight white champions. So those days are, and there's no super fight anymore. Like, they try and get the Pacquiao and they try and get the Mayweather, but that's going to be once in a blue moon. How do we get back to the way, when I was growing up, boxing was, Saturday night, the boys would come over, we'd sit around and, watch it. We'd watch the fights from the beginning to the end card. We loved it, and it's just, there's not, that excitement is not there anymore.
I think it's gonna get back to that. You always had the two major promoters, like the HBO and Showtime, that they basically their only their fighters would fight on their network. So you never have those super fights. But now with Mayweather Pacquiao, the two competing sides, like joining these two fighters together to put it on for the fans, I think it's just gonna continue to be that way. So I think it's we're on the fence now, and we're about to jump over with this fight that's happening in 2 weeks. So I'm excited for it. I know a lot of non-boxing fans are excited for it. So
yeah, and that's the key thing there. Not a lot of boxing fans. Boxing fans are finally people that are coming out of the woodwork saying, "Hey, this fight, People that necessarily didn't watch it anymore, or just were never into the sport, are now sitting around saying, "I can't wait to see this fight." And that that's something that I miss. That's where love him or hate him, Mike Tyson. You used to watch his fight because you'd sit there and go, watch him kick the shit out of this guy. In 2 minutes, this guy will kick the fuck out of somebody in two. And he was a small guy, and he's taking on a guy twice his size, and
Didn't matter.
it didn't matter. And there was that mystique about him. Oh God, the black trunks, the black, he
ripped sweatshirt.
Yeah, like this guy, he's here to rumble. This guy's a pit bull. So they need to build the next guy up where he can be, the big fight. For me, hey, UFC is great, but it just does not. To me, it's too barbaric. Where a guy's on the ground and you've got him in a headlock and you're still punching him in the face. I just don't get that, Steve. It just does not do it for me. Rolling around and choking a guy out. It just, I just can't get into that. But I do enjoy a good fight. I enjoy watching
fist fight.
Yeah, a fist fight. Have you ever seen the fighting? It's on YouTube, and it's I don't know if I showed you, Mark. It's no glove. You ever see that? Like Knuckles.
I haven't. No.
It's hands-free fighting where they don't wear gloves. These guys. Bare knuckle fighting, it's called. That is nuts, man.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Okay, so it's bare knuckle fighting,
Right.
and you want to talk about tough guys. Fuck, the point of you wearing that glove, the only reason you wear a glove is to protect your hand. You know that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
That's all the gloves.
That's
for.
all the gloves for. These guys don't wear that. Okay? And
No,
it's bare knuckle, and Jesus, it's you sit there and watch these two guys fight. I enjoy it. I'm sorry. To me that is a fight. Okay?
Yeah.
Them, as soon as they start rolling around like a couple of fruitcakes, I don't enjoy that. Okay? It just, to me, we've all been in bar fights. Okay?
Right.
For a fact, once we get on the floor, somebody's going to break us up. Okay? And then we'll start up again. But most fights will last what? You know that most fights between two guys in a bar last 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Right?
You don't want it to last.
Right, like I always see this guy going, he's a 7th degree black belt. He's been taking Taekwondo for 18 years. He once broke a fucking building in half, and then he gets into a fight and he starts slapping around like an idiot. I'm like, where did all that Taekwondo fucking that crane? Hey, look, he's fighting a guy. I remember getting into a fight in a bar in Toronto where a buddy of mine, Bill, we pissed off these guys, and these 4 guys jump out of a car, and they were like little Korean guys. And they jumped out of this van, and they did, like, the poses.
Your life is a movie.
Yeah. They did these poses. And my buddy Bill goes, oh, look, it's the 4 fuckheads of death. and nobody did any karate moves. I mean, it was just a full-out brawl. To me, and that's where boxing that to me is a different type of boxing, or fighting. That's where they say this is what UFC is all about. This is how you fight people. But I just can't get into it, Steve. It just doesn't do anything for me.
They have taken away a lot of the unknown factors from UFC. And when it started out, different weights, it didn't matter. There was a lot less
That's
rules.
when I liked it.
And yeah, it was like, you don't know what the fuck is going to happen here.
I saw one guy take on a guy that he was about 180 pounds. And he took on a guy that was 400 and the little guy
I saw that.
beat up.
He was climbing on him like a tree.
See,
he was pounding at him from all angles.
Right. If that's the type of fighting, then okay, great. But I want shoes. I'm sorry.
Okay. You're stuck on that whole toe thing, aren't you?
I don't know. It just grosses me out. So, Steve, what was your best fight? Like, what would you consider that you can remember where you got into a ring and you controlled the fight? Like, how do you, first of all,
when everything goes right.
I mean, doing stand-up, I have nerves before a show, okay?
Right.
And the only thing that it could hurt is my feelings if I do poorly. With you, it can be, not only your feelings get hurt, but your fucking jaw. Okay, so
Yeah.
how do you mentally? What do you do before a fight to get ready to say, I'm going in there to battle. Okay.
I just train. Honestly, just train as hard as I can. If I train as hard as I can, then I know that I'm in great shape, and I feel invincible at that point in time. But actual like routines and stuff, I'm not one of those guys that has a specific routine he goes through before getting into a ring.
Right.
But I've got punched in the face many times, so I get nerves a couple weeks out for, I'll be thinking about it and I'll get those those butterflies. But leading up to the fight, it's I don't have any nerves at all. It's just weird. I know,
But mentally, what are you thinking? Like, are you just thinking in your mind, like, what do I need to do to beat this guy? Like, you thinking, this is like, I gotta listen to my trainer, I gotta listen to my corner. Like, what do you focus? Like me, I'd be focusing on dessert. Like, what the fuck am I gonna eat?
I'm just thinking about doing what I need to do. I've already done the preparation, the physical preparation, the mental preparation, the game plan. It's just going over in my head to do what you know what you have to do.
So
do what you know you have to do.
Executing everything you've worked on up to then.
And it's showtime, right? I'm there again, there to entertain. So and get paid is pretty cool too. Entertain's the big thing. So
now, have you ever, like, what was your dream fight?
What you mean, mine or like watching?
No, like you fighting. What was the best fight that you've ever had?
My pro debut was technically might not have been my best, but it was. I remember everything about it. I know I prepared well. It was the first time I was getting paid. I won by knockout. They flew me halfway across the country. That was my best fight. Like that experience, that atmosphere.
Well, that's incredible.
Everything. Like it was fantastic. Best technical fight. To be honest, I lost my best technical fight. It was my last amateur fight. Two guys, both of us put on a great show, and that guy's actually on the verge of becoming Canadian champ now. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, lost a split decision, like one of the best, probably the best fight I ever fought, and lost a split decision. And but that was my best performance. But memorable and best fight for me was my debut out in Moncton, New Brunswick.
That's incredible. That's I mean, and people that don't see boxing as a sport in that way wouldn't appreciate the fact that, like you said, even in a fight you didn't win, you take a positive away from the way you handled yourself, the way you carried out what you trained to do, and you still get something out of it, and that's why it's great to talk to somebody who's a pro. Yes,
but afterwards, like, do you ever see the guy afterwards and then punch him in the parking lot?
Oh no.
Because I would totally pretend to shake his hand and go, "Hey, good fight," and then as he went and tried to shake, I just poke him in the fucking eye and run. I'll see you in Detroit, bitch.
Wow.
And it wasn't. It's nothing like that.
See, but you got class, Steve.
I buy my opponents a drink afterwards.
That's really cool.
Win or lose, I after the fight, I'm there to have a good time. Have a couple drinks and buy my opponent a couple of drinks if you want.
That's the kind of diplomacy that you could learn a lot about.
But I can't. I don't know what it is, but it's just I have no class.
Steve, listen to this, Steve. We could have used you at a show in London when Vito was hosting a comedy show, and there was a heckler, and Vito was on stage, and the heckler didn't like it when Vito pointed out that his wife could maybe stand to do a couple laps.
Well, she looked like a fucking rhino.
Right. So the guy, the heckler, who started out sitting at the bar hammered with his wife, went to the front table, like the table at the very front, right in front of the stage when the show started, and started yipping, and the guy challenged Vito to a fight, and okay, and that's where somebody like if Steve was there, he'd come over and go, okay, buddy, you got to settle down, or you're gonna have to leave. But there was nobody there to do that. So, so Vito says, "Oh, okay, you want to fight?" He says, "Okay, well, I'm just going to introduce this next act, and I'll take you outside and beat the shit out of you, and then we'll come back and carry on with the show." And that's exactly what happened. So, I mean, there's always a spot for you.
Yeah,
at a Vito show.
Well, I'll
but
take that into consideration.
yeah,
Where's
but
the
that was
show?
a
At
shithole.
Yucca?
That was a shithole I was playing at. It just happens. But Steve, what is your next fight? And like, what are your prognosis on the hand once it is broken like that? Is there anything that like what do they do? Like, are you worried that next fight that shit I might fuck it up again, or like what?
I always had that. Like, that's really the only thing I worry about is my hand. Like, I've had hand problems almost since the beginning, right? I hit kind of hard, so
Right.
my hand bones don't withstand the force. So I always had hand problems. So that's always in the back of my head. It's just it's something I got to deal with. I just problem is I never let it heal properly. It feels better, so I'll go out using it again, and I don't really listen to.
Now it's never. Now your trainer, like, they tape up your hands and everything. Is it that they're not taping up your hand properly?
No,
Was there an
see,
act?
when I've used gauze and tape in fights 4 or 5 times. My last few amateur fights, and then in the pros, they gauze and tape up your hands. I've never had a problem that way. It's when you put on those hand wraps,
Right.
wrap your hands in the gym, and in the amateurs, you just use hand wraps under the gloves. That's when I've had a problem. That's when I always hurt myself, is using those things. But I can't gauze and tape my hands every time I'm in the gym. It costs way too much money.
Sure,
to do that,
of course.
Right? So, but most of my hand injuries are now happening, and like it happened the last time, with sparring. So I just got to let it heal properly this time. To take the 4 to 6 weeks, like the dog said, and not use it, and then go from there. Just try something different, I guess. Next time I'm in the gym, just try more support. But,
Right. Now, but how are you? I don't know how you would change throwing a punch. Like,
no, I've never changed throwing a punch. It's just change the way I wrap my hands, or
Okay.
a different pad, or something like that. Yeah, I never change the way I punch.
now when you're
So
done
effective.
fighting, because the problems with the hands, do you have to stick your hands in like a bucket of ice, or do they have you do exercise? Like, do you do exercises after to make sure the hand? I mean, so much force you've put through your body that the hands are so.
I ice my hands. I don't really have any exercises for them that I do on a regular basis, but I do ice my hands after a hard workout or a hard sparring session. I have to. They're sore. They're aching. So.
Right. Sure. Now, have you ever fought somebody and just thought, this is just too easy? Like, this guy is just like I should, like, I can't believe how simple this is. Like, this guy should not be in the ring with me.
I've thought that a few times. Yeah, it's just I don't let up.
Right.
You never know, right? Everybody has that puncher's chance.
But do you think?
If Vito hits me in the right spot, I go to sleep, right? So anybody that's in the ring with me, I got.
Well, I usually go for the balls, So, but like, do you ever think guys play like? I watch old fights, and I enjoy when guys try and do stuff where they play possum, or they pretend they're hurting, and I just think that's brilliant. Like, just lull the person in a bad sense, put them in a sense of, I've got this, and then out of nowhere they go and fucking clock the guy, And to me, it was just like they're playing possum.
That sounds like a risky strategy.
It is a risky it's a tragedy. It is risky, but to me it just shows, there is some type of, the guy's thinking, hey man, I can't go toe to toe, so I'm just gonna fool him. I'm gonna sucker him. Remember, Prince Hassim used to do that.
Yep.
He used to. That was a great move of his. And then he used to milk it. He used to pretend he was going down by shaking his legs. He was. See, that's what the sport. I used to hate but then I loved them. You know,
Yeah.
it was like
entertainment, right?
It was entertainment, and that's where they need the chick to come out wearing the thong in between round. And you ever do it? Like, I know you're married, but see, I would ask, like, I would tell my corner, I would just say, can somebody get her number? Can she come over and rub my back?
I don't know if that's how it works with her.
Well, I can't help. I mean, she's walking around with a thong. How do you not fucking concentrate on that?
She'd probably just give you her placard with the number 8 on it. Here you go. Here's
if I made it to 8.
Here's my number.
One of my best. I love watching fights where the guy goes. They're explaining shit to him, and then the guy goes, "Hey, what round we in?" The boxer. what round we in? And it's like, we just started, you fuck. It's round 1.
Oh.
I love that. They need more.
Don't you think, though, it's a fine line between that and becoming a joke, like, like a WWE sort of thing? And I mean, it's obviously not the same thing, but don't you think if there's too much of that showmanship and that it's in danger of making a mockery of the whole thing?
No, because I think people want to see what's going on in the corner, want to see the guy yelling, to see him saying, "Listen, dude, you are below in the cards. You need a knockout, okay? No more fucking around. We didn't come all this way for you to lose, so you need a knockout." And sometimes that they're lying to the guy to get him more motivated, or there's where the guy, he's completely losing it, where he's just yelling at him, saying, "You're not listening to anything I'm saying." And I love that.
How much do you? I mean, you were saying that you go into a fight and you've trained, you know what your plan is, you know what you're going to do. How much of that changes during the fight? Is it hard to adjust during the fight?
Yeah, it's especially because right now I'm only fighting 4 and possibly 6 round fights. So making adjustment and changes is a lot harder, and it does happen. Like realizing that what you were expecting isn't there. So
right.
Changes do have to be made, but I don't know. It's just something you gotta work on. That way you got to work on every part of your game, and so you can switch it up. But again, like it's tough. It's super tough. So.
Yeah.
Now, is there anything you do to? I mean, I talk to a lot of guys, and whenever they would show like a Rocky movie or whatever, you get all psyched out. Like, what do you do to get yourself in the mood? Like, to get ready. Like, do you do anything to, like, do you listen to tunes? Do you, like, Steve, what do you do to get yourself in that, do you need it to be quiet? Do you need to be in a room by yourself? Or do you need to be like, just, how do you do that?
In the dressing room, it's I got my music in my ear.
Right.
I'm just trying to pump myself up. But the day of, the day before, the week leading up, it's just all kinds of like he said, Rocky movies and knockout highlights and body shot highlights. It's just all kinds of boxing is just on YouTube on my laptop.
Right.
Just get you in that frame of mind.
Would it be
hours a day, just trying to get into it, getting hyped and psyched up, and I find myself walking around shadow boxing, just like walking through Walmart, and people are looking at me like I'm an idiot. But
right.
I do that when I'm about to eat a pizza.
Well, I stretch before I eat. You know that. I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna fuck this up huge. This turkey's going down. The videos that I think I'd watch is stuff like, I don't know if my trainer would like I'd watch Deep Throat or The Best of Seika or something, because I'd sit there and go, you know what? If I win this fight, I'm gonna get a blowjob just like that.
Wow. So that's your motivation.
That's my motivation. Now, Steve, what's your? We're brought to you by Majestic Garages, and we also we are the Wrecking Crew. Please check us out on Facebook.
Like and share again.
Yeah, we're giving away a steady rack. So let us know any questions. If there was anything you wanted to ask us, let us know. I'm sure I'm going to have Steve on after his next big fight. We'll talk to him about how the fight went. Hopefully, I've seen Steve fight. I think he's fantastic. I think he's going to be a champion, and I'm not saying that because he's a buddy. I haven't seen Steve in what, fucking 10 years, but I've always I've seen him fight. I've gone to the fights. He's going to be a champion. I just know it. Okay? And don't let it go to your head, Steve. When you become a champion and I come to you and I go, hey, can I get a hooker? You know, don't shoo me off. Don't let that fame get to you.
Remember, we did you the super huge favor
Yeah,
of
we
putting
did
you
you
on a podcast that as many as 6 people
Remember
are
the little
listening
people.
to.
But folks, if you ever get a chance, go see Steve Rainford fight. He will fucking he's smart in the ring. He's probably one of the toughest guys I know. And that in boxing, that means, you know, you don't need to be tough, but there's just that mental grit he has that a lot of guys don't have.
That's
right?
exactly what my coach's favorite saying. He says it multiple times a day: is "tough ain't enough." So
Exactly. That's the tattoo.
And what I love about you is that I could see you thinking when you're fighting. You're not just a robot. You're in robot mode, but you're like, you know, the Terminator. You're like you're figuring out.
Destroy.
Yeah, just seek and destroy. And it's just if you get a chance, go see Steve Rainford fight. When's your next fight, Steve?
Well, I was supposed to fight May 17th, but that didn't happen because of obvious reasons. However, the promoter and matchmakers being super awesome about it, and they're planning on putting a show late June, early July that I'm hoping to be on. As long as I'm injury free and I can make the trip, then I'll be fighting late June, early July again, just down the road in Detroit or possibly Dearborn.
Awesome. And
just real quick, what is your dream car if you have one?
Sorry?
Your dream car. If you had any car in the world, I hate asking the generic questions, but I just like to hear what people, what they think of. Like, what is your dream car?
My dream car is a pearl white Bentley with super tinted windows.
That's very specific.
That is total pimp out. I thought you were gonna say something like a 1957 Chevy done up or something like that. But yeah, I could see that. I could see that.
Luxury. I figure if I can afford a Bentley, I can afford the $4,000 brake change.
Nice.
Oh. But see, that would bother. Like, I got a chip on my windshield, and I'm pissed off. I'm like, $60, you son of a bitch, for a fucking chip.
Yeah, there's no way I'm paying $50.
There's no way.
$40? Are you kidding me?
Now, here's what's your favorite thing to eat, Steve? Pussy. No. What is your?
Yeah, you know what? I was actually just gonna say that, pussy, but steak or panzerotti. I'm a man's man. I like throwing a steak on the grill.
Oh yeah. Now, what do you like it? Medium rare, or
medium rare?
Medium rare, of course. And for like desserts, what do you like for your favorite dessert?
Again, that would be pussy.
Right.
Right.
But I like. I'm a big cheesecake fan.
Oh,
cheesecake
fuck.
Or apple crumble.
Oh.
Yeah. No, that's great. I love. Now I'm gonna go. I want a cheesecake.
Ice cream.
Let's go get. Yeah,
my coach would kill me if he heard how much I talked about ice cream and.
I don't know how you do it, dude. You got a physique of a fucking god there. I mean, you've got, you're chiseled. You look like something out of like a museum. Like like it looks like one of those Greek. Folks, I'm not. Go to the Facebook page. Look at Steve Rainford, and there's not an ounce of fat on him. He looks like a wrecking machine. Okay, I love the tats. You know, like who did the tats? You've got one on your tit there of a hand. Is that your child's hand on your?
Yeah,
breast?
that's Alyssa's handprint. She was about not quite 2 weeks old when I was finally able to get the handprint on the ink, like from the ink pad.
That's awesome.
That's really cool.
She's a boxer's daughter. She would always have her hands closed in fists. So one day she was sleeping on my ex's tit and stretched, and there was a hand, so I took advantage. And
That's awesome.
Oh, that's
got the hand
great.
on me.
No, it's a cute. I knew something. Like I'm looking at it going, that hand's too small, and then I put two and two together, and I go, it's probably a kid. And I to me, that's the type of tattoo
Right.
that would mean something. I don't want to go there and go, can I get a fucking eagle on my ass with eating some Cheerios, or I don't know what the fuck. Like some tattoos to me, I don't get why you'd want that,
It's
but
gotta have some meaning, and
Yeah.
that's the best meaning.
yes, that
Really.
exactly. Like, I would love to get something like that, but my son would. It would just be a finger,
Yeah.
And then, what is your favorite movie?
Oh, I like Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, I love that movie.
That's a good movie, and
We're gonna have Morgan Freeman on as a guest.
Well,
actually, at some
where
point.
he just came in?
Oh, there he is.
There's Morgan Freeman.
and $1 Million Baby's really good too. Again, Morgan Freeman's in that one as well.
I'm
But
glad.
$1 Million Baby, Clint Eastwood directed it. So again, all about boxing. But
I'm certainly glad to hear that you're a Morgan Freeman fan.
that was an awesome impression.
Thank you. I did that. I can do that, and Pete Puma, right?
Yeah, Pete Puma is a boxer too, but he took too many lumps.
I always enjoyed your Bert and Ernie impression, Vito.
Oh, thanks.
That always made me chuckle back in the day.
Yeah, it's to me, I thought, is that bit any, I don't know. I just, sometimes when you do a bit, you just think, I'd never fucking, it just never really, it didn't feel right. And then 2 weeks later, I'll have a girl come up to me going, yeah, we came and saw you, and we're driving all the way home back to, Mississauga, and the guy was hammered in the back, and he was doing your impression of Bert and Ernie, and I just thought, all right, cool. That's nice. And
You're your
I think
own worst critic.
that is something where do you ever sit back and watch your fights and go, this is where I could have, of course you're going to do that, where I could have improved, but do you ever watch a fight and just go, I should have did this, and I don't know why I fucking did that, or
All the time.
right?
Yeah.
And you, what do you do? Like, do you freeze frame it, write it down, or what do you do to tell yourself, this is what I need to do?
I watch them a lot, so I just go over it and just try to stick it in my brain. Old habits are hard to break, but I try my damnedest, right? So.
Right, and I suppose when you make a mistake on the stage, you don't get punched.
No, you get punched, but it's mostly your pride.
Right.
But that's the thing that I think you have one of the hardest. It's one of the hardest professions, what you're doing, Steve, and that is, to fight for a living. That is an incredibly. You could get killed, doing what you do. To me, it's a man's man. It's like, hey, man, this is what I do for a living. I fucking hit people. You've never been one of the, you've never been a conceited. You've always been a nice, kind person, but you're the wrong person to piss off in the ring. So
yeah, I've been told that it's just something. I don't know. Something just switches, right?
Yeah, and
I can't be a super nice guy in the ring, but I don't know what it is. I don't, but I'm glad I got it.
That's why I'm predicting that in a couple of years you will be a champion.
Appreciate the words.
I really do believe that. I'm not saying that, Steve. I really believe that you're going to be a champion, and you're going to go well. Like, you've got a good foundation. You got a beautiful family. You got a smart head on you.
Did you got a passport?
Yeah, I do, but I have to, anytime I go over, I got to tell, because they have me as a smuggler, so I've got to fucking report shit, and
I'm just thinking road trip in June.
We're gonna go see Steve's fight, and if you're around, or we'll totally, before the fight, Steve, let me know exactly where it's at, and we're gonna get as many people to come out and cheer for you. Because you are a joy to watch in the ring. You don't just go, you're a smart guy. I'm not saying, because I know Steve. I don't know Steve like I know Steve from work.
You don't know him like you know your parole officer.
Right, exactly. So, and he is a joy to watch too, and he brings it. He reminds me of Holyfield, where he is like, the whole show. Like I'm there to fight. I'm not there to just fuck around. I'm there, give it all. So, folks, if you get a chance,
He's a good podcast guest too.
and he's also a great podcast guest. But if you get a chance, I want you to, Steve, let us know anything you want before anything you want to talk. Like, just say next fight. Let me know what's coming up. Like, you know what I mean.
I'll definitely keep you informed.
All right. Well, it's been a blast, folks.
Yeah,
Steve,
I appreciate this.
I appreciate you being so candid and telling us. That means a lot. I enjoy listening to how a fight breaks down, or what there's more to it than just two guys hitting
really
each
is
other.
the sweet science.
It is the sweet science. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
So, folks, without further ado, we just had Steve. Steve, don't you have a killer name? Like in the middle, don't you have Steve? What is the? Don't you have like Steve? Take no shit, Rainford. Like what?
The Renegade.
Steve,
The Renegade? Is that it?
The Renegade.
Yeah, Renegade.
That works.
Steve the Renegade, Rainford, folks. We're gonna have him back again, and it's been a blast, Steve. Thank you so much
Thanks
for
a lot, Steve.
Your time.
Thank you.
Okay, and folks, you were listening to the Wrecking Crew Comedy Podcast. I'm Vito D'Amico,
I'm Mark Arts.
and we're brought to you by Majestic Garages.